Hello everyone and welcome to FilmDirt at the Movies. It's time for another Ghostbusters. See you on the other side. Let's do this. Well, thank God that's over. Firstly, a couple of things I want to declare. I paid for my own ticket to see this film. I'm a non-biased reviewer. And also, I'm a huge Ghostbusters fan, especially of that original movie. So that is likely to affect my review here because this movie is nothing like the '84 movie, unfortunately. I think it was regretfully just a huge letdown. The premise overall was good, along with Afterlife, what they've tried to do, bringing back this brand and this story, is great. I don't think it's been a huge success, unfortunately, and some of the problems I've found with Afterlife have been carried over, unfortunately, to Frozen Empire. The one thing that really stands out for me is that this is a children's film. There's quite a few kids now front and centre in this story, so we're wondering, is it really a sequel to the '84 film, or is this a different version now centred towards kids? Now, I like McKenna Grace, I think she's a great actor, and the other three are just fine as well. But when they're all together, front and centre in this film, along with a couple of new characters, you're diluting what made the original couple of movies as great as they were. Because for me, those movies were about characters. And each of the original three guys, and then four guys later on, when Winston joined the team as the hired help, was almost grounded in reality. They just looked like four schlubs, blue-collar workers. You know, you call for an exterminator and a normal-looking guy turns up with something on his back and a hose pipe, and you expect that type of person to turn up. Here, a call went into the Ghostbusters for a ghost sighting in some kind of cafe, and two children turned up. And I'm just wondering, this isn't real anymore. This isn't a real story. This is not based on anything other than this being a children's film. Just very odd. And then the adults in this film didn't really play a really key role in this film. We've got Carrie, Coon and Paul Rudd's characters as the parents. They're just bickering with each other, and there's a family domestic going on in the first scene. You know, in Ecto 1, when they're chasing the giant blue CG serpent, and they're having a little family quarrel. It just seemed really out of place and unnecessary in the middle of an action scene. And that serpent ghost as well just looked out of place. It looked like a video game enemy. It just didn't really fit into the scene or into the franchise. It should have been a wisp, like in the original film there was a few wisp-like ghosts. We didn't quite see what they were. And I'm also thinking about, remember the end scene of Raiders of the Lost Ark, maybe those types of ghosts. We don't have to have the ghosts in here too goofy, too childlike and too clear. That's the problem here. It just doesn't look like a ghost. It looks more like a creature movie than a ghost movie. So the two parents are now full-fledged Ghostbusters. I don't see how, other than being related somehow to Egon, didn't really seem to qualify them enough to be part of this job. The original guys were scientists and a little bit, geeky and well into the subject, but these seem really detached, not only from the franchise, but from the actual ghostbusting job. And then we've got the tech character played by James Acaster. Is he a Ghostbuster now? He seems to be in the team, unannounced, and I just found that really abbreviated, like brushed over. Okay, let's let a few things go here, because really, like I said, I think this is more centred as a kids' film, and dare I say it, a lot more like the 2016 movie than the original movie. And that's what I was really hoping it wouldn't do. But we get all those nice little teases from the original guys. It's good to see them, and Annie Potts as well. She's great. Now for her to put overalls on and become a Ghostbuster, I can go with that because she's in and around the team and you don't have to be a scientist to do it. You just have to follow orders and actually do the job to the best of your ability, even if you're an unqualified, much like Winston was. And that's what made him so endearing to us, because he was almost the protagonist, really, wasn't he? You've got such established characters. We're waiting to see those. That's why everyone is buying tickets to see the film. We're there to see the original Ghostbusters. And it's almost like we're being deceived by false advertising and the contents of the trailers, which doesn't reflect what was in the actual film. And also the tagline for this movie was, "Every ghost they've ever caught." I didn't see any familiar ghosts at all, apart from Slimer and the library ghost. And let's mention Nadim's character, who was the fire master. It seemed like he was a bit of a chancer and a ducker and diver trying to sell old artifacts. He played exactly the same character in the Kenobi series. And I don't really want to see him do another version of this character again, because it's all very similar. And in fact, Nadim had the best line in the whole film. At one point he said, "Can some adults come and help, please?" I think we're all saying that. I don't know if it was an in-joke, but there are too many kids. But very similar to Carrie, Coon and Paul Rudd's characters, who played the new gatekeeper and the keymaster previously. And they're taking much more of a backseat this time, but when they are part of the story, they're quarrelling. And really, their characters are redundant. It didn't need to be here. How many Ghostbusters do we actually need? And how was the big villain defeated, really? Just by firing fire at it, all just an anticlimax and unchallenging. So overall, I think we just concentrated too much on the kids, and they weren't as interesting as they should have been to carry this story. We've deviated from what made the original film as great as it was. Now, there was that moment with Phoebe's character where she was going to experiment by becoming a ghost temporarily. And I thought that was quite interesting. There was almost what they were telling in a previous film called Flatliners, where you leave your body temporarily on the borderline of death before being brought back to life so you can see the other side, in the movie world. They never went there. They kind of had the apparition, didn't they? Definitely knocked down a storyline where it could have been quite interesting, and had the exploration of seeing the afterlife. What a shame. So at this point, let's just give it a score. I'm going to say 1.5 stars. And that's a regretful 1.5, because I did really want to see this film be almost as great as the original. I know that's hard to achieve, but it seems like they weren't even trying. The odd few callbacks, obviously with the original guys, seeing Dan Aykroyd take a bigger role this time was fantastic, and seeing the original library ghost as well was a glimmer of magic in that moment, I think. But overall, I have to say, what a great shame. Not quite as bad as 2016, but it's hovering around there somewhere, and none of us really wanted that. Okay, that just leaves me to say thank you once again for joining me for this little breakdown of this movie. Catch my other reviews of the Ghostbusters movies. I'll put their links in the description below, and I'll join you again for next time. Like and subscribe and all of that. All the best. Speak to you soon. Take care.